Yo guys, it's JD here, back again with another video. I know it's been a long while, guys and gals, probably about 2 years, I think. Basically, long story short, life happened. I was working two jobs. I was in the middle of graduating, and then I did a teaching job. So I was just kind of busy with life-oriented things, and I kind of had to choose between which hobbies to focus on. So I've always been good at art. I try to just use my arts to give them to other YouTubers to kind of be featured in videos, things like that. So I prefer to do art over video editing. So I just figured, okay, I'll just continue to make art about what's happening in the manga, granola, Black Frieza, that kind of stuff. And then I'll wait for, things to get a little bit better. And thankfully, the manga took a break. Wasn't really any movies other than superhero, and then the retellings. So I kind of just used that time to kind of just re-energize myself, get ready for a new entry point, which would be Dragon Ball Daima, the topic of this video. I have been kind of loaded up on Black Frieza art, Daima art, other surprises based on some theories that are coming up with the future of the Dragon Ball Super manga. It's the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, and out of respect for Toriyama's passing and the fact that it is the 4th anniversary, I did want to come back, and I will be continuing to be active with the YouTube channel of art, of course, and maybe even collabs. Maybe I'll be collabing with Geekdom, Jordan, Emish, Unreal, things like that. So we'll see. For these next couple of videos, I wanted to mainly cover Daima just out of appreciation for Toriyama, since it is one of the final works that he's left us. Could be other works, but for the purposes that we know of, this is kind of the tentative one at least. I'm back. I'm very excited to kind of resume and kind of go into kind of my own lane, I would say. I will do stuff on Journey to the West, but of course, you have Jordan who's kind of already doing that. So I'm going to kind of just mainly focus on kind of the full holistic scope of Eastern philosophy and also Western philosophy, because there is some Western philosophy in Dragon Ball that you can kind of insert. As you guys already know, passion, science, philosophy, education, things like that. So you're going to see more of those kinds of videos. I already have a couple prepared. But with that said, this is going to cover my thoughts on Daima episodes 1 through 3. Got a little behind, so I kind of put it into like a big review analysis. Standalone episode reviews will be starting on episode 4. I will be making some separate topic videos on the mortal development with the upper world versus the demon realm, stuff about the Tamagamis, which I'm really excited for, and then the demon realm, Dragon Balls, and those lores. Those will be in future videos. With episode 1, we got huge lore dumps galore. Besides the brilliant animation art direction of the Buu saga, we get the first introduction to the demon realm, at least the hierarchy. We get introduced to a character named Goma, who is now the soon-to-be appointed Demon King after Deborah's passing in the Buu arc. We get to see what looks like the first introduction of a Makaiyoshin, or a Makai. Kind of seems like an assistant one, but more to come on that. We get to see other siblings later in the episode. Now, some people had a problem with the fact that this is the sibling to Shen, the Kaioshin that we already know of. I don't really see this being an issue. I mean, this is literally just the same concept as the angels all being siblings to one another, or even the other Kaios. It's just a thing. They all come from the same source. The angels are the father of the angels is, of course, the grand priest, but they're all siblings to one another. So I never really see the issue with people saying, oh, it's kind of like a retcon that Shen happened to have a brother. I mean, just based off the lore that we already knew about the Shenjin people, we already knew that they were probably siblings to one another. So that's not really an issue in my opinion. But I do love the Makaiyoshin outfit. It's just, it's obviously just the Kaioshin outfit, but with the little how would you say it? The wardrobe that basically Deborah had, they just put that on top. That's very classic. I mean, it's actually very simplistic. I don't know why I didn't kind of think about that when analyzing how this would come to be. But yeah, it is basically just a Kaioshin attire with Deborah's cape or his little cloak thing. Very simple. I really like the designs, like the colors for Goma and Dekatsu. Of course, Goma kind of does look like a mix between like Zeno, Monaka, and even one of the Pride Troopers from the Tournament of Power. But it's just classic Toriyama. He just recycles designs, but that's just to be expected. But I do love how when they're watching the essentially the Buu saga, they're just so surprised at how strong Goku and Vegeta are. They think that they were Imagins, and that's kind of like the first key here, that kind of a lot of theories that me and Jordan have had about kind of what's going on behind the scenes with Dragon Ball, at least the cosmology of it. It was so evident that in my opinion, most of the races that we've seen had some kind of demon aspect to them, either in their fighting style, techniques, or even just kind of the physiology. And with this sequence, we get to see that they think that Vegeta, of course, he's Majin Vegeta, and so he's all amped up and more powerful. But they thought because of them being able to use Boku no Jutsu, which is the ki flight, being able to project their ki from their arms and legs, those are characteristics of powerful beings that are, I guess, what they think of as being exclusive to the demon realm. But that's not the case. As they're watching this, they do see Piccolo, right? Piccolo with Babidi, and they're like, oh, it's a Namekian. And that is another cue that this was going to be a big episode with lore, because a lot of people way back in the Granola arc, when we got to see those little snippets of Elder Mori and the Namekians on New Namek talking about, they're educating the next generation, and Mori saying that, they had traveled from a different realm. People kind of thought it might be some kind of special dragon realm at the time, but I always figured it'd be something that we haven't seen before, like the demon realm. We really had not seen the demon realm up until this point. So finally, in this episode, we do get confirmation that the Namekians are from the demon realm, which is very big. A lot of people just say, okay, it's cool, it's a little nugget or Easter egg, but it is very important because it's going to be setting up a lot of stuff that will ultimately happen in the future of the series once Super resumes, at least in my opinion. But I do like how when the word Majin is essentially being used, is now more in line with the meaning of what demons are in Eastern culture. There are the Yaogwai of Journey to the West, there are the Oni, there are other kinds of goblins and things like that you would associate with a demonic nature, depending on what Eastern philosophy that we're using. But yes, now the word Majin is more in line with demon that you would normally associate with Journey to the West, which I do like. And this is something I've argued with Emish and Unreal, so it'll be interesting to see how the story unfolds and how they kind of analyze this. I suggest you guys kind of continue keeping up with Emish, Unreal, Geekdom. It's going to be, I think, very interesting to see a lot of this lore and everyone's reaction to it. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, I told Emish this, is that Daima, I think, is really just a bona fide synthesis of the Danzenshuu volumes and interviews with Toriyama. Obviously, some of the stuff is being borrowed, some of it's being recontextualized, but the stuff concerning the Namekians was so obvious to those who already understood like early Dragon Ball, the Journey to the West, Easter eggs and allusions. I mean, just the fact that magic. I mean, when you think of the Namekians, most people think of the Dragon Balls, but the Dragon Balls in and of themselves are a magic. They're wish-granting orbs that can alter the cycle of life and death. They can change the energy contents of a species. They can establish laws and even causality. Those are not. That's not something that you just take lightly and just be like, and just run with it, like, oh, this is Dragon Ball, it's wacky. I mean, that is the case, but the Namekians always had a magic appeal to them. You see that with King Piccolo, of course, the way he can spawn his children. The fact that he already kind of looked like a demon to begin with, but besides him just touting himself as a demon king. I mean, even Piccolo, he names all his attacks after demon-like things. I mean, it's a very intentional thing, in my opinion. It's not like just a Toei thing. I mean, I think it was pure Toriyama. Even the clothes beam, that is a magic ability. So, it should have been like so obvious, especially once we got to the Buu saga, that yeah, Piccolo is something like a Majin, or at least the Namekians of themselves are the type of connotation that you would associate with Majin. So I'm glad that we finally got that out of the way. It's not something that you can just argue anymore. It's now integrated into the story. So yeah. Now, with the King Goma and the Dagetsu, as they're watching the events of the Buu saga, we get to really see just how pivotal the Majin Buu arc was. That is one of my favorite arcs. I've told Unreal this. I just think that you really get to see kind of the true characterization of Goku, the true characterization of Vegeta. I mean, we get the fusions, we get this universal conflict with, the final battle of Kid Buu. I mean, it's so big that, just like in the anime where you're seeing everybody from the other world watching it. I mean, now you see the Demon Realm was watching it, and I'm certain, if the other God hierarchy cared, they would have been watching it too. So I mean, it's just so glad. I'm just so glad that that's how big that event was. Goku defeating Kid Buu. It was so big that you have these parties now being involved. But some people, this is something that we're still learning about. Majin Buu, we know that he's existed since time immemorial. We don't know, how old all these different realms within the Dragon Ball cosmology are, but probably very old as well. A lot of people kind of think that Majin Buu and the Demon Realm are separate. I think Jordan made a video saying that there is a deep connection. I agree. I do agree with Jordan on that. I think that there is some kind of connection with Majin Buu, because when they're watching the events of the Majin Buu saga, they are aware of Majin Buu, regardless of whether they are aware of him as a legend. The point is that they were aware of him, and they're very upset that Babidi was using Majin Buu to take over the upper mortal universe, and would, I guess, essentially draw his attention to the Demon Realm. So I think there is a deep connection between Majin Buu and the Demon Realm, just based on the sole fact that, one, they're Majins, and two, magic. Magic is a very big thing in Dragon Ball. I mean, originally Daima was supposed to be called Dragon Ball Magic. So I think there's gonna be a lot of revelations with Majin Buu and his true origins, or at least what it is that led to Majin Buu being the way it is. I mean, obviously he has a deep connection with the Kaioshin, which you find out in episode 3. There's a reason for that. So I would not be surprised if there's something to do, like Majin Buu's origins. I would not be surprised if the Demon Realm is as old as when Buu was around. I would not be surprised if there's some kind of god conflict that's going on between the Demon Realm and the upper mortal universes. I think we're going to learn those things as we get further into the story. But yeah, based off Goma and Degatsu watching the events of the Buu arc, we do see that they understand that Majin Buu was defeated by Goku, and this scares the bejeebus out of them. At first, they were excited because they saw that Dabura was killed, which meant that Goma is now going to be the next in line to be the Demon King, and then they were excited when Majin Buu killed Babidi. But they were not happy to see that Majin Buu, this being of unparalleled danger, was defeated by not even a Majin. He was defeated by a Saiyan. A mere mortal. So I do like that this kind of puts a lot of pressure on them. It scares the bejeebus out of them. And this is where things kind of take a shift. So we got seeing a little bit more of the I guess the highest realm of the Demon Realm. That's where it looks like this is taking place. The Demon Realm Castle that we saw in the trailer. Of course, we got the lore about the Namekians being from the Demon Realm. We get the explanation about the pointy ears being a characteristic of those from the Demon Realm. And we get to learn that the Demon Realm has its own Dragon Balls. As they were watching the Buu arc unfold, they see Earth, using the Dragon Balls in the Buu saga, and they're surprised to learn about Shenron. They're also surprised to learn that Shenron can grant 3 wishes, which there's some new lore dropped later on in the episode about that, but there is a couple clues that I think a lot of people glossed over in that sequence, because they were watching the events of the Buu arc and they learned about Shenron and Earth's Dragon Balls. They do mention that they were aware of there being Dragon Balls, which of course implies that the Demon Realm has its own Dragon Balls. That was fairly obvious, I think. We all expected that from the trailer, but they do mention Purunga, and I find it interesting that they mention Purunga when Purunga is a dragon that is found on Namek, and I guess also New Namek, but they didn't know about Namek. They didn't know about the Namekians being in their own. They knew that they escaped based off the findings in the Buu arc, but they didn't know where they went. So if they know about Purunga, then with that logic, we can infer that the dragon in the Demon Realm is probably a Purunga-like dragon. Now, I know there are leaks out there that kind of already hint at what the dragon looks like or what it is, but there's your clue that without even knowing anything about leaks, there's your clue that I think this new dragon is something similar to Purunga. It may not be the same size. It may be a different color. Maybe different kind of features on it, but I think it's a Purunga type dragon, and that is interesting because in GT, when you see the GT dragon, I mean there's a couple, but when you see the original red dragon, it's like I think they call it Super Shenron, and it's just a red Shenron that's huge. So I wonder if you're going to do the same thing with, I guess, this dragon in the Demon Realm. Is it going to be called Demon Realm Purunga? Is it going to be called Super Purunga? Don't know, but very interesting. Very excited to see a new dragon. I'm a big fan of the new dragons that we've seen thus far. Even Super Dragon Ball Heroes had a really cool dragon. Obviously, I love Terumbo from the Granola arc, so I'm very curious to see how powerful this dragon really is, because it's only 3 Dragon Balls, and they're all guarded by something called a Tamagama, which is really cool because that goes into the lore of what it is to actually be able to use the Dragon Balls. You have to go through a trial, so that is a great idea. And it also implies that the dragon that's in the Demon Realm can only grant 1 wish, because they were surprised that Shinron can grant 3 wishes. Could be a stretch, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's only 1 wish. But we also get new lore on not just the Dragon Balls being in the Demon Realm, but we get this, I guess, new logic that certain Dragon Balls are built with white magic, and then other Dragon Balls are built with black magic. They give an example of a black magic wish, which would be killing someone. So for all the people that say, hey, why couldn't Goku and his friends use, like going way back to the Saiyan Saga, why couldn't they just use the Dragon Balls to wish Vegeta or Nappa to die? Well, there's your explanation. I don't think any of the Dragon Balls that we've seen in the upper mortal realm were ever built using black magic. So there's your answer. So that's great. That's a great idea, by the way. I might make some kind of a video on that, because that is very important information. But we may get something like that, since they give an example of like someone being killed with it. That could happen in Daima. Maybe something will happen tragically where a character is killed with the Dragon Balls. So that's something to keep in mind. We also get an introduction to the other sibling of the Makaioshins, Dr. Eretsu. This is already in the trailer. We kind of thought it would be like an angel like character, but no, it's definitely some kind of Kaioshin character. It's a sorcerer scientist type. Kind of reminds us of Toa, of course. She definitely has ulterior motives. She was really concerned about the funding that Deborah was giving her for her research, and since it's a new king, and I guess Goma is not the same type of person as Deborah, both in power and intelligence, she probably has her doubts. And so this kind of goes back into kind of some of the leaks that we know, that there's some kind of plot brewing, which now you see in the trailer, that not everyone's happy that Goma is the next in line to be the Demon Realm. There's this bloodline feud or something like that that's brewing behind the scenes. So she's definitely not on Goma's side, I don't think. She definitely has some kind of motive. I think even Degetsu, especially if he is a Makaioshi, I would really hope he has like a Zamasu like angle where he's gonna pull like a betrayal somewhere down the line, because I don't like the fact that he's very like newbie like. He's taking notes. He's just does not come off as, he comes off as Shen. He just comes off as someone that's not knowledgeable about his role. I don't like that. I see why they would have made him like that, since he is a sibling to Shen, but I'm hoping he has an ulterior motive. But yeah, she basically just goes in about the scare that the Saiyans and Goku kind of, like the fact that they beat Majin Buu, like what if they turn their sights to the Demon Realm? So she kind of pressures Goma to deal with Goku and his friends, which then leads to Goma saying that they're going to use Earth's Dragon Balls, particularly Shenron, to depower the fighters and then remove them as threats. His idea is to use the Dragon Balls to wish them to be young or babies. And again, obviously people will kind of say this is very GT like, since that's how GT starts, but it's a little bit different, I think. And obviously him wanting to deal with Goku and his friends is going to be a perfect example of karma here, because I don't think they would have ever come to deal with Demon Realm if he just did his own thing. So him being selfish and wanting to do something to them when they didn't bother him will come back to literally backfire on him. So we'll continue to probably see that as it plays out. Now it does cut away to Goma and Degetsu. They're gonna get a Namekian who happens to stay in the Demon Realm, Neva. This is kind of like a Monaito-like character, a Kami-like character, definitely from the Dragon Clan. This is the one that created the Demon Realm Dragon Balls. He stayed behind, I guess, as the Namekians all left, so very curious about that lore. Kind of funny, that little Toriyama gag where, he's taking too long to walk down the aisle to the ship because Goma, and Degasu are going to be going to Earth. But we do get to see one of the Dragon Balls guarded by, I guess, what appears to be the main Tamagama. I love the designs, by the way. I think they kind of like robot insect kind of characters. It's kind of like that Genyu Force, Toko Senkai kind of, it's got that kind of element to it. So I do like that. But again, they're all guarded by a Dragon Ball, or they're guarding the Dragon Ball. So it is interesting to see kind of what challenges we'll see from these characters. I'm hoping they're like Super Saiyan 3 level at least, but we'll see. Now it does transition to Earth. It is revealed that party that you see in the trailer is the 9th birthday party for Trunks. So we see Goku and friends, and then this is where the big fan reaction starts. So you see Shen and Kibito. Last we saw them, they were still fused on Namek, new Namek. So they have defused, and their explanation is that they use Majin Buu's magic, like his gas, to I guess disrupt the Potara fusion. Now, a couple issues with this. So obviously with Super, they introduced the time limit for Potara if you don't have two gods fusing. Now, Shen and Kibito Kai are gods. Obviously, Shen is a Supreme Kai, and Kibito is a Supreme Kai in training. He's an apprentice, so it is, some people back then brought up the idea that they shouldn't have ever defused. The only way you could defuse would be with the Dragon Balls, which makes sense why they use the Dragon Balls in the Universe 6 tournament. But in the manga, they established that if only one of them that's involved in a fusion is a Supreme Kai, then it's not permanent. But that's not even really the biggest issue for me. I think that the issue that people have is that obviously they need to be fused by the end of the series because they're fused in Battle of Gods and Resurrection F technically, and at least up to the beginning of Universe 6. I think Toriyama just intended them to never have been fused for so long. Like, obviously, the Busag ends with them still literally on Namek. They could have asked Elder Mori to recollect the Dragon Balls and make another wish to defuse them. Some people could just suggest that Boo just fell asleep and it just didn't occur to them to do that. But I don't really have an issue. This is just another angle, another way to kind of defuse characters. And I love that because think about it. Now they've established that you can use Majin Buu, and it's really not even just Majin Buu, it's just the magic. Majin Buu is a being of magic because he probably has some kind of relation to the Demon Realm, and since the Demon Realm and Dragon Ball Daima is based around magic, this is good. It just is another way to deal with fusion related characters. So I mean, imagine if you could just do a spell that defuses people. I mean, that's the kind of inclination that you can get from this. So I'm not really I don't have a problem with this because again, it's in line with the original logic of Dragon Ball, with Tara being it was defused because of Majin Buu's air and the interior of him. It's just another way of defusing the characters. I think a lot of it is blown out of proportion. I think it's just being very nitpicky. This isn't a problem for me. You can easily justify this, and it's not really that much of a retcon in my opinion. But hopefully this does actually work on Fusion Dance too, not just Potara. That's my hope, because I still think Gogeta is a little bit too broken, especially after the events of Dragon Ball Broly. So hopefully this could be used to defuse even the Metamorphian Dance. Now, what caught me was just how powerful Neva really is. When we do get to see Goma and Degasu travel to Kami's Lookout, this is where the confirmation of, Dende and Popo being from the Demon Realm, which further confirms that the Namekans were from the Demon Realm. Very obvious, like I said, but Neva shows something that I wish Monaito did. I wish we got to see more of. He's able to locate the Dragon Balls even though they're in that 1-year recharge because they were last used in the Buu arc. He's able to bypass that. He's able to just, like a Dragon Ball radar, he just finds them, brings them to him, and they're still stone, and he just imbues them back with the magic to reactivate them. So he bypasses the whole 1-year recharge. So very, very useful, I would say. Now, I remember back in the Cell saga when they brought Dende to the Lookout, before the Cell games. At the time, I think the Dragon Balls were still stone, I believe, or at least they had to upgrade them. So when they rebuilt Shenron to power it up further, I mean, obviously, if they were still in the stone state, that still kind of falls in line with the same logic here. So it stands to reason that Dende, as he continues to grow his dragon power, he could do what Neva does, and hopefully does get to that point. But basically, if you're just a powerful Namekian of the Dragon Clan, it seems like you can do this, which is cool. So Goma, he's aware of the 3 wishes. He wishes for Goku and friends to be kids. The dragon kind of humors him by saying, okay, how young? Because some characters are already kids. So I love that. But he's able to do it. And of course, Goku, Vegeta, and everybody gets turned into kids at the end of the episode. But Goma's not able to get his other 2 wishes. He was going to originally wish for the 3rd eye that was introduced earlier in the episode. This 3rd eye is said to grant the wielder incredible power. It's something that was lost during the reign of, I guess, King Deborah's father, Abora. So that's new lore. Very curious how this is going to be obtained, because now he can't use the wish. And it's revealed that Shenron can only grant 3 wishes if you happen to be friends with the dragon, or at least that you've made at least multiple wishes with Shenron. Some people had a problem with this. I don't actually think it's a problem, because if you look at all the examples of characters that were using the Shenron Dragon Balls, if they happen to be friends or those had already made wishes, they got the 3 wishes. Some people, I think, point back to Sorbet and Tagoma when they were trying to make wishes. But again, if I recall, they used Pilaf and Gang. So because it's Pilaf and Gang that used the password and summoned the dragon, and since they already made a wish, it makes sense that they could have gotten 3 wishes. So there's that. And I know there's some differences between the super continuity version of Resurrection F versus the movie version, but I just, to me, that doesn't really seem like too much of an issue. It's just a Toriyama gag really at this point. So with episode 2, because we're going to move into episode 2, Goku and friends are children again. It is kind of refreshing to see the chibi designs. So, we see characters like Muten Roshi, Mr. Satan. I love the designs. I love how Roshi doesn't have hair. I love Mr. Satan, how he's I just like his voice. The guy who voices Mr. Satan I think it's a good match. I love how Goku is unable to use the Boku no Jutsu, which is the ki flight, due to his petite size and the lack of balance. This is good. I think this is better than the direction they took with GT, because even though Goku got turned into a kid in GT, he was still pretty powerful. Obviously, Super Saiyan 3 put a strain on his little child body, but he could still use ki flight, and he was not having the struggles that he's having now. So I do like that. It does seem very crippling. He does later in the episode kind of get a little bit more adjusted, but that is good. I think people shouldn't be complaining about something like that, because they're just trying to make it, they really are trying to depower them. Obviously, that's not going to be for very long, but I do like that. I do like that they're trying to come up with something. He also can't project ki, which is good. So most of the episode is kind of spent on just like, OG Dragon Ball nostalgia, a couple of jokes and references to the way the characters look. I do love Muten Roshi being like more pervy than usual because he's younger and looks better. So that I want to see where they go with that and the little side episodes. Bulma, I do like how she loves being a child because she just looks young, because throughout most of Super she was making wishes to be young. So that's kind of funny. Shin and Kibito, they notice that there's something wrong because the Dragon Balls were being used, so they go to the Kami's lookout, and then that's when they learn and get the revelations that Goma and Degetsu, which is again Shin's brother, arrived. They made some wishes, did everything that we saw up to this point, and then they abducted Dende, probably as insurance. So I do like that. Goku, Piccolo, and Vegeta, along with Bulma, they do show up later in the lookout. They want to investigate further, but they can't, because the Demon Realm is kind of off limits to those who have either the special ship that can get there, or they just know a lot more about the lore. Shen has an idea, which is, I guess, he apparently had this ship that he used to travel originally to the Demon Realm, or not the Demon Realm, but from what we now know is Demon Realm to the Upper Universe when he was younger. This ship got damaged, I guess, during the battle with Kid Buu, which is kind of funny. But they can't use it yet because it's damaged. Bulma is able to look at it and say that, technology is pretty amazing, yada yada, but it's going to take about 10 days to fix. This is a problem because they want to kind of investigate as soon as possible. They have a fear for Dende. Supreme Kai, says that they're not going to do anything with him because they would have already done something. Goku is still trying to adjust to his small size and maintain that balance. So he gets an idea to go get the Niobo, which again is the power pole. He goes to Korin's lookout. It's not there. And so Korin tells him that it was with Master Roshi. And then you see Master Roshi, he's just enjoying himself. I really like that. Apparently Master Roshi was using the power pole or the Niobo as a thing to do his laundry or to hang out his clothes. I thought that was kind of funny. So he's able to get that, and we get to see the classic Goku with the Niobo. I really like this. I really excited to see Super Saiyan Goku with the power pole or the Niobo. I think that's something that's just refreshing. Him not using it throughout Super was a kind of a missed opportunity, I think, especially with Ultra Instinct. I've seen like character art of where Finyo has drawn Goku in Ultra Instinct with not the Niobo, but like an energy version of it. And I just think that's so cool. It would fit the Son Wukong archetype perfectly. Maybe we'll see it in the future when Super resumes, but I just love that. While Goku's getting used to, again, his size and everything, they are sitting at the table and kind of basically going over all the lore. So Piccolo's aware of the fact that there's this being named Neva from the Demon Realm. Obviously, he probably got that from the memories of Nail, since Nail would have been told that from Elder Guru, and Elder Guru's been alive for a very long time. There's probably a long lineage that goes back to when they first traveled, but makes perfect sense. They all assimilate to one another and they get their memories, so not at all a plot issue. But they do kind of go into the fact that there was some kind of changes to the Demon Realm where you could come and go as you please, but then someone made it so that you couldn't. Definitely going to be important as you go further into the story, I think. I think that we will find out about a god hierarchy. I really think there is a god hierarchy in the Demon Realm. A lot of people are just focused on the Makaioshins and the Demon Kings, but I really think that there is some kind of higher level tier of beings that might be being saved for Super. So we'll see that. Now, some people brought up the idea that they should have used the Rumen Spirit in Time to train. Only problem I have with that is that while they could definitely do that and get like a day or two, be a year or so of training, I think because of the sense of danger, they're just using that as a reason why they shouldn't. Now, since the ship takes 10 days to rebuild, Goku and Shen are the ones that end up going because as they're talking over the stuff, eating food, the character that was kind of watching the events of the first episode, Glorio, shows up. He's obviously a Majin. He's one of the main characters that we'll encounter. They're going to use his ship, and thanks to the ship being there at the lookout when Bulma's there, she's able to use it as a model and reference, which will speed up the development of the ship. She can get it done a little bit sooner. But since Vegeta, Piccolo, Bulma, and Kibito were staying behind, it would make sense for Piccolo and Vegeta to go into the Room of Spirit in Time, and maybe they do, and we'll learn about that later in the episode, but that makes sense. I actually agree with anyone who has a complaint with that. Yeah, they should definitely use, especially Piccolo, like he could use some training. But I'm really excited about, again, with episode 2, I'm excited about the lore about like who made the rules concerning the traveling between the different realms. Was it Zeno? Was it the Grand Priest? Was it some of these gods that are probably lurking in the shadows in the Demon Realm? That's what I'm excited for. But yeah, basically Goku and Glorio and Shen, they go into the ship to depart to the third realm at the behest of a king. I guess there's different kings in the realm. That's what Glorio's doing. He's kind of like a bounty hunter, kind of like a Han Solo-like character. So they depart, and Vegeta, Piccolo, Kibito, and Bulma stay behind to repair the ship. So with episode 3, We're seeing Goku, Shen, Glorio leaving the Demon Realm. We get to Warp Sama, which again, this is shown in the first episode, but we get to see a little bit more of it in this episode. This is a fish-like guardian thing that is a transponder point to weave into the Nexus space, the world between worlds between the Demon Realm. So they serve as like a transponder point, and I think it's kind of funny. It's a fish motif, which you see a lot with Toriyama, with the Oracle fish, things like that. So it's just a wacky sci-fi that he's known for. But they need a special passcode to enter, and they also need to show proof of like their identification, like are they from the Demon Realm? So of course the pointy ears come into play here. Shen uses the magic to transform Goku's ears to look pointy. Now this is obviously a little gag, just because Goku looks like a demon. But I think this is actually potentially a bigger implication, because the Saiyans and Jordan and others have talked about how they have a demonic nature because of Journey to the West references. I would not be surprised if that is the case and they actually go full on in. So having the Saiyans, or at least maybe their ancestors, being from the Demon Realm, either original like settler races, or like maybe kind of weaving and recontextualizing the Yamoshi backstory that was interested in Super. I mean, not even really interested in Super, but kind of offhand interviews. I would not be surprised if they pull that into this series. I mean, the Saiyans, again, they have the Azaru form with the pointy ears, the red eyes, demonic ki. I mean, the Saiyans can transform. Saiyans have traits of demons that you see in Eastern philosophy, so would not be surprised again if they recontextualize Yamoshi, the Saiyan race, as being some kind of like experiment done by the Makaioshins, or like an actual settler race. I would not be surprised. But to get into the Demon Realm, they need a passcode. They need a special code to get in. The special code that they use, I think it was like 2281 or something, but they use that code to get in, and then they're in that nexus point. There's like 3 colored portholes, which essentially designate each of the realms. They're going into the third one, of course, and that's the one that you see from the poster and from the trailer. It's got floating islands and volcanoes, and it's got a very colorful sky background. Very nice. Great art, by the way. I mean, the production for this is definitely more than Super ever was. So they go into the third Demon Realm. You see a Deborah statue, just like Mr. Satan. I think that's kind of funny. You see a special light spell that was casted that was apparently done by some kind of entity that we don't know of. Again, probably relates to the whole rules that were set up by the gods. But it is actually... it covers like a giant hole that would, I guess, slot into the other dimensions. And this is why Warp Sama and the Nexus points exist. So I think that's pretty interesting, and I'm sure it'll actually be used or broken later in the episodes. So Goku wants to step out of the ship to get used to the environment. And so we're told that the air is heavy, or it's very dense. And this is not just important because of the fact that it's a more harsh environment. So just like how Goku would train on more harsh planets, like back in the Nameks saga or Saiyan saga, and it's always like a plot point to get them stronger. But I think it's also important because we're going to learn more about the methodology of why the Demon Realm exists the way it does, what it has to do or what it has to say in terms of mortal development, whether it's in a forward direction or a backward direction. We'll see that. We already know that there's good demons and bad demons, so there could be some kind of forward thing going on there. Still kind of collecting my thoughts on that. It can go both ways. But this is the episode where we actually learn like 100% that the Kaioshins are from the Daima realm. So some people were surprised about that because obviously the Dazenshuu lore suggested that there was a core world, a core planet which had a Shinjin tree where it bore special fruits. The golden fruits were the ones that would become the Supreme Kais and lifespan of 75 million years, yada yada yada. The other ones that were not those, they would become the North, like the Quadrant Kais and other Apprentice Kais and things like that. But that lore is at least being recontextualized for this series, so I guess you could say it's a retcon. I still think that the core world or the Shinjin tree will play a role, because in the first trailer, or actually no, the second trailer, the one where they actually have the Namekian language and the song reveal, In that trailer, the first couple seconds, you do see what appears to be a tree, like a divine magical tree thing that's in the demon realm. I would not be surprised if that's the second realm, and I would not be surprised if that's where, like, if you look at the poster, you have like the green kind of background, which one of the planets looks like Namek, like a Namekian like planet, and then you see a planet that looks like the Kaio. So I would not be surprised if the Shinjin tree is there, and that's where you see some of that lore that was from the Dazenju. But yes, they do give them a new name. They're no longer called core people. They're called the Glens, which again, a lot of the names in the Demon Realm are based off flowers. So again, things that grow in the Demon Realm. There's a sense of progression. So more to come on that. But the Glens are a refined or sophisticated species, so it tells me that they've gone through some kind of evolution, whether it's directed by the Makaio Shins or if it's just out of pure randomness. We'll see. Again, a lot of people think it's a retcon. It's to be seen. Some of it is different. The name obviously looks like a retcon, but the lore, the actual deep lore about the Kaioshins, which I know Toriyama's kind of gone back and forth. He's given a couple interviews where it's a little bit different, but I think the tree aspect, I think the fact that I think the Glens means like an acorn. I still think that there's going to be some kind of, recontextualization at the very least. Now, as we go further into the episode, we do get some action finally. So we get some kind of Journey to the West style action. You have these bandit-like goblins and other demon creatures. Goku and company fight them, and then they then go to a little town that's very Star Wars-like. It's like Mos Eisley. They pick up a hotel, and Glorio kind of does his little aggressive tactics to get a reduced cost for a couple of rooms. But they go to a bar, like a town cavern, just to go get some bite and something to drink. They have these hamburgers, which I love. These demon burgers look like stuff that would blow up your bowels, like literally. They look like the Burger King burgers that were black, I think, or purple. So yeah, it's very funny that's what they have. They don't tell you what the meat is either, which is kind of funny. But yeah, very, very classic Kung Fu, Jackie Chan kind of little action scenes from the trailer. So everything you saw in the trailer is exactly the same. But Goku gets the hang of things with his sense of balance. He's not shooting keys yet, or like key-based projectile, but he's able to fly, or at least hover, at least. So he's starting to get his mojo back, I would say, but no Kamehamehas yet. But the episode basically ends with their ship getting stolen by the bandits as they go to sleep. And then the next preview shows the mysterious Majin, who we know as Pansy. She's a demon. She appears to be like a Bulma-like character, very intelligent. But she'll be aiding them on their journey with Glorio, Goku, Shen, and then eventually the other party will join. But very, very Dragon Quest, very, very similar to JRPGs. Reminds me of Blue Dragon as well. So very, very excited to see the rest of Daima. The lore, the stuff that's being pulled from the Danzenshuu, the love that's going in with this. Toriyama, he had to approve a lot of the scripts that were being written, so this is the most he's ever been involved with, and you can see that a lot of the jokes are totally Toriyama. Character designs Toriyama. So very excited to see where this goes. But the biggest thing to take away from this is that, again, I think this is if you ever read the Tenchu, a lot of that stuff is just being pulled into Dragon Ball, finally. And this is very, very important. I think that because of the setup of the Demon Realm, because of the setup of the possible gods that we'll see, and maybe even new transformations, this will be used in the future 100%. This was like the missing piece of the puzzle that we needed from Toriyama. Had he not done Battle of Gods during the Renaissance and given us the multiverse and the different universes and the god hierarchy, if he hadn't done that, I mean, there would be a lot you could do with Dragon Ball. Like the stakes couldn't really be as high. But the thing about Super Dragon Ball Heroes is, because they expanded upon Demon Realm stuff and crazy characters, time breakers, and things like that, that's what made things so interesting and the stakes so high, where you have like what if fusions, what if transformations of popular characters like Broly, Vegito, Gogeta. That's the kind of stuff that now you can kindly see because it's introduced into the main continuity. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm so glad that Toriyama did this. Could this have been a super arc? 100%. It could have been a super arc, but they're going to do something with it anyways in Super. So it makes sense that they make it a standalone show just because, you know, it seems like there's a conflict that's going on between the rights, and Geekdom and others have reported on this. But I'm just appreciative that we got this. We didn't have to get this. This could have all just been us sitting with nothing, even during the 40th anniversary. No manga, no anime, no movies. So we got something, and I'm appreciative of that. But anyways, guys, I'll see you next time. Again, more videos to come. I'm more active than ever before with new art, Black Frieza stuff, manga stuff on returns, and more theories and philosophy explained videos. So I'll catch you guys later. This is JD signing out.